did. This is Isabella.
How you doing,
Nice
Dwayne?
to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, great
Yes.
to see you.
We'll see you.
All
We'll
right.
see you on Monday.
Okay. We gotta be moving around stuff and at the park hall.
Look at it right quick. Yeah. Dwayne will be there too. Do you want to stand with me? Yeah. Yeah, you can stand with me. Let me look at it real quick, just make sure I have everything. So I'll turn it to Melissa just to give a few words. And then turn it to you. So I'll turn it to you if you want to say a few words. Or do you want to? Or? Okay, good. Okay, I'll just finish it. Gonna get ready in a second.
It's off.
I'll see. There you go. Now imagine if I had started without the microphone. Oh, hold on. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Even the media can respond, right? On behalf of the MLK Commission and the District 2 office, I'd like to welcome each of you to our press conference that will outline details for the 38th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. March. First, I must thank our MLK Commission. They work tirelessly each year to put together this march and all of the many auxiliary events that celebrate Dr. King's legacy, but beyond just one day. These are volunteers putting on a collection of the largest, most popular, most fantastic events of the year, and they work year-round to do it. On behalf of the MLK Commission and our District 2 City Council office, I'm thrilled to announce the return of the largest Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. March in the nation, and therefore the largest in the world. And it happens right here in San Antonio in my district. Every year, our San Antonio community and many, many visitors traveling into our city join in massive numbers to join us on our east side streets and raise their voices on a variety of issues, all inspired by the life of the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The east side has been at the epicenter of our civil rights story here in San Antonio. As the historically black side of town, we have been marginalized, disenfranchised, over-policed, redlined, and cut off from access to the resources that have allowed other parts of the city to thrive. But we are here because our community is resilient. And above resiliency, we care for one another. When grocery chains don't find value in us, we cultivate our own gardens. When schools have pushed us out, we've taken our kids in and educated them. When we've been rejected from opportunity after opportunity, we've created our own. We have fought every system that's been built against us, and we've done it on the shoulders of giants such as the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. On most days, people don't give the East Side a second glance, but on MLK Day, they will walk through our streets, see our homes that have protected families for generations, see the art that tells the story of our city from our perspective, and they'll walk past our elders who can no longer march with us anymore, and who are standing in their yards alongside the route, eager to share their experiences of walking along civil rights leaders in our city. I mentioned yesterday with the theme, "We are the dream, it takes all of us," this year's march takes on an especially important significance as families face uncertainty with political changes at both the federal and state level. Many of us feel lonely sitting in that fact, but when we start marching on Monday, we will be together. Whether you are an immigrant family, a federal government worker, a young family looking to afford your first home, a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, or a woman concerned about your reproductive rights, it may feel like the ground is unsteady. And because of this lack of security, we need to hold each other close and demonstrate the meaning of solidarity and community. It's time for supporting each other, checking in on each other, and showing how we stand together against any threat to our health, peace, and safety. As Dr. King said in his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, "I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. Let us all have the audacity to make this reality so." The true purpose of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. March is for us to be in each other's presence so we can work together and show how to be in support and community with one another. Again, this is not a celebration or a parade. This is a march for our rights and humanity. It is primarily a march to affirm justice for all, to affirm that our differences are what make the collective only stronger. Once again, we take the time to remember the lives of those lost to racism and injustice, such as Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Marquise Jones, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, and tragically so many more. It's a time to honor those abroad whose lives have been lost to state-sanctioned violence, whether caused by war, genocide, colonization, or any other atrocity. It is time to look within because along our route are going to be people without shelter, many of which have experienced encampment sweeps. And we have to ask ourselves, who are we when we take from those with nothing? This is not a celebration, again, because it is not the end, but an ongoing struggle for justice for our communities and those around the state, country, and world. Please be reminded with every step you take on Monday that there is still much more work to do, and my hope is that you find a place to do it, to make this place better than you found it. Our struggles are interconnected, and thus our liberation is too. I look forward to seeing my council colleagues. Thank you, Councilwoman Cabello-Alvarado, for being here, and our community members who will join together on a Monday morning in this spirit. The weather might be just a little bit cold, but our solidarity will be the warmth that we need to get us through. So thank you all so much, and I'm happy to welcome MLK Commission Chair Dwayne Robinson to provide details about this march.
Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone on to vibrate. Hopefully you didn't hear it ringing. But again, my name is Dwayne Robinson. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the City of San Antonio Martin Luther King Jr. Commission Chairperson. I tell you, there's not much I can add. The councilman did a wonderful job of summarizing why we do what we do. So what I want to do, I want to take a moment and just kind of highlight all of the activities of the commission, because we do think of the march a lot, and we should, but there are other activities that we do as part of the commission. One of the things we do at every single one of our meetings, we start out with a MLK quote, and then we do a prayer, and then we close it with an MLK quote and then a prayer. And all of us can quote 1,000 different sayings from Dr. King, but this one came across my way recently, and it's Dr. King asked this question, and he says, what is your life's blueprint? What is your life's blueprint? And then he says that it suggests that your life blueprint should include a belief in self-worth, a commitment to excellence, and a dedication to justice, love, and beauty. So we start off this Friday. Tomorrow we get our activities started. We have the Baptist Ministers Union worship service that starts off tomorrow at 7 p.m. Then we roll into Saturday, and we have our Youth Empowerment Summit that will go from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. over at St. Philip's College. The BMU service, the worship service on tomorrow, will be at Antioch Baptist Church at 7 p.m. Again, the Youth Empowerment activities will start on Saturday at 8 a.m. registration. The program starts at 9. They'll go till 5 p.m. Then we roll over into Sunday, and we have the wreath laying ceremony at 2 o'clock over at New Braunfels and East Houston Street. And then at 4:30 is the interfaith service, which will be over at St. Mark's. Then we roll into Monday. So Monday, it's going to be a little bit cold. Wrap yourself up pretty warm, all right? But we will start lining up about 8 o'clock. The best way to participate in the march is always through our great partners over at VIA. I would strongly suggest that people go over and park at St. Philip's College or the Coliseum grounds, and you can start catching the bus about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. It will take you to the start of the march over at Martin Luther King Academy. Then we start marching at 10 a.m. The march is about 2.5 miles. It'll take us about 2 hours. We'll get to Pittman Sullivan Park around 12 o'clock, and then that's where the commemorative program will start. Let me pause. I forgot to mention that 8 o'clock over at Martin Luther King Academy is where the pre-march service starts. That's at 8 a.m. So we can do some entertainment and have speakers speak to you as people are gathering and lining up. So once we get to the commemorative program, which starts at 12 o'clock, our keynote speaker this year will be Ms. Andrea Waters King, Dr. King's daughter-in-law and the wife to Martin III. So we have the man's daughter-in-law for the keynote speaker this year. And then we'll end up over at the park over with the commemorative program and everything else. It should conclude probably around 3 o'clock. Then we'll have over at Trinity University on January the 23rd, we have our guest lecture series that we do in partnership with Trinity University. That's on the 23rd, and that starts at 7:30. Then we close out with our Community Awards Recognition Luncheon, which will be later on. It's going to be May the 8th, where we honor our 3 recipients, the recipients being the Martin Luther King Distinguished Citizen Award, the R.A. Callis Trailblazer Award, and the Baha'i Faith Award. We're also going to do a special award this year posthumously to the family of Willie Velasquez, who started Southwest Voters Registration and Education Project. So that's all of the activities that we do. I want to thank the councilman for all of his continued support to me as I've served as chair. I always have to say this is my last year, so we'll be rolling on to some other things. Thank the council lady for her tremendous support and all of those volunteers that helped make this grand event happen. So if there are any questions, the councilman will take them. Sure. So one of the things that we did do, we do have a plan B in place, and that's at the Alamo Dome. So that is in case. Now, if it's just cold, we're marching. All right. So there's no cancellation because it being cold. We're going to still march. If there's some ice or if there's some snow, then we move into plan B, which will be at the Alamo Dome, but that will be scaled back a great deal. We won't have the vendors and the food and all of that. We will have the program. It will take place, but a lot of the activities will be scaled back. Sure. We'll make that decision collectively, and we'll make that decision on Sunday. In the march?
1 million.
This year.
I'll say I don't think we'll say a number. It's been a couple years. We're waiting. We want to see. We know that people are excited about the march. We know people are going to be coming in from outside of San Antonio, outside of the state. We can't even begin to estimate what that's going to look like yet.
Sure. So we always like to gently remind, we don't have a parade. This is always an opportunity to educate. We don't have a parade. A parade is more celebratory. What we try to do in San Antonio, we try to duplicate the march and what they were doing in the 60s and the 70s. But to answer your question, which is a great question, I know when I first started marching, what are these garbage trucks doing here? I could never understand that. And so it's okay to not know, ask the question. But the garbage trucks represent when King was assassinated. He was in Memphis for the sanitation workers strike. So that's what they represent.
And they'll be there.
And they will be there, I'm sorry. So, great question. I can't give you a ton of details, but one of the things we are working on is we still want to work with VIA to where instead of people being dropped off at the start of the march, we could have people dropped off at the Alamo Dome so we can still get a good amount of attendance. So they'll use the Robert Thompson Center. They'll still be dropping off. We're working with VIA on that. We still, of course, want to have all of our keynote speaker and all of that entertainment. We still have to work on some other logistics, but just the basics is what we have, just getting people out of the elements and into the facility.
Last year at Primary Thursday, right, vendors were some of the last people, or were still setting up the day of the march, even though it was canceled. What are you guys doing this year to prevent that? Granted, you're making this.
Sure. Last year was very unique. In the history of our march, in 38 years, I think we may have had one time where we canceled because of the weather. We canceled one year because of COVID, and then the following year we did I forget what we called that march that we did that year, but typically we don't cancel because of weather. It's very unfortunate we had a virtual march. It's very unfortunate what happened last year, but sometimes you have to have adverse situations that teach you something. So trust me, we're prepared. The vendors and setting up at the last minute, when you talk about food, there's no way you can prepare food. You could, but they don't prepare food 2 days in advance. Everything there is fresh and hot. So it was a very unfortunate situation because we had vendors that were there, that they bought all of that food. That's why we turned around and we did have an event, a community recognition event that we had, and then we donated a lot of food to a food bank so that it wouldn't go to waste.
I'll touch on it a little bit as well. I also do just want to state plainly and reiterate that the march is happening. It's going to be on Monday. We are heavily invested in that. Last year, it was Monday morning, 4 or 5 a.m. We were all having conversation about whether or not the march was going to be ongoing, and we determined that this year we weren't going to be put in that position, and so we created a Plan B. The Plan B is not necessarily meant to be in the forefront right now. Right now, the march is happening, but we do want to state for the community to know, just in case something does happen, the unforeseen puts our march on hold, there is still a plan to honor the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, march is happening. Decision will be made on Sunday if anything else is going to take place, and you guys will be sent that as quickly as we can.
Probably late afternoon on Sunday.
Before, I wasn't say close of business, but before that.
Okay.
Ideally by around 5 p.m. on Sunday. So Chief McManus has been very heavily engaged with the commission and with Dwayne, with myself, and with city leadership. There is a plan for heightened security. There's a plan for any sort of event. We're prepared. Yes. I probably cannot. Do you want to talk about ban on drones?
That's added security.
I believe Chief McManus issued something, though, a statement of some sort. I just don't want to misspeak.
Right.
Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Councilman. Well done.
See y'all Monday.
Good to see you as well.
Saving
You
me from
okay?
a bug. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, good to see you, ma'am.
Thank you.